Whenever you're ready.
Hello, my name is Kelsey Olson, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the difference between a diet that contains meat and a diet that does not. There are so many diets around the world that have become popular recently, including vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, low-carb, no-carb, paleo. There's so many that you could probably name. However, the main one that people hear about today is vegetarianism. So my claim is that being a vegetarian is actually not as healthy for you as a diet rich in meat. My secondary claims are 1, that meat fuels the body better than any other protein source. 2, that vegetarians are missing key nutrients that they need in their diets. And 3, that animal proteins have not shown to cause any diseases contrary to popular belief. To begin, meat is an essential protein source to fuel the body properly. Meats contain amino acid chains that form complete proteins. Complete proteins are defined by the New Health Guide as a protein that contains all 9 essential amino acids, which every single person needs, however, our bodies do not make on their own. Plant proteins such as tofu, beans, nuts, and seeds have incomplete proteins that need to be paired with other plant protein sources in order to provide all 9 essential amino acids to the body. However, this is not easy for our body to digest. The United States Department of Agriculture states, proteins function as building blocks for bones, muscles, cartilage, skin, and blood. They are also building blocks for enzymes, hormones, and vitamins. Proteins are one of 3 nutrients that provide calories. This is just a simple explanation as to why each person needs animal proteins in their diet. If a body does not have complete proteins, which can only come from animal proteins, then the body does not have the necessities to keep bones strong, muscles lean, and blood flowing as it should. Next, my second secondary claim is that a vegetarian diet is missing so many key nutrients that a body needs. A study done by the Medical University of Graz in Austria found that vegetarians suffer more from certain conditions like asthma, cancer, and mental illnesses than people that eat meat. Vegetarians do not have adequate sources of vitamins, proteins, minerals, and fats. Because they do not have adequate amount of protein, they also lack iron. The United States Department of Agriculture says iron is used to carry oxygen in the blood. Many teenage girls and women of childbearing years have iron deficiency anemia, and they should eat foods high in hemi-iron. IronDisorders.org explains that hemi-iron can only be found in meats. Therefore, eating animal protein is much better than eating plant proteins. Other deficiencies include, but are not limited to, B vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin D, calcium, and zinc. The most common of these is vitamin B12 deficiency. Registered dietitian Sarah Hahn explains that vitamin B12 is responsible for red blood cell growth and nervous system maintenance. Without adequate B12, you may find yourself at risk for macrocytic anemia, a type of abnormality in red blood cells, as well as shortness of breath, heart palpitations, numbness, tingling of the hands and feet, memory loss, dizziness, mood changes, loss of vision, irritability, and nerve damage. I personally do not think that anybody would want to have any of these symptoms. My last secondary claim is that eating meat has shown no evidence at all of causing either cardiovascular disease or diabetes. You might be asking yourself, why do people even become vegetarian to begin with? Well, some people do it for ethical reasons, some people do it for religious reasons, others do it because they don't like the taste, and some do it because they do believe that these will cause heart disease. Many vegetarians are convinced that meats, specifically red meats, can lead to heart disease and diabetes. This is because they're looking at the high fat content, not examining the right meats. Increased fat content is generally in meats that are not as good for you, such as everyone's favorite, bacon. This meat, because it is high in fat, could lead to cardiovascular disease, but so could any other foods that are high in fat. Vegetarians are failing to see that meats provide healthy fats our bodies need to function. Authority Nutrition states that in a mass study from Harvard that book that looked at data from 20 studies with a total of 1,218,380 individuals. They found no association between unprocessed red meats, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes. There are many vegetarians who believe that, meats can lead to cardiovascular disease and diabetes, but they are wrong. They are looking at the processed meats with the bad fats. Lean meats are what our body needs to function. To review, my secondary claims are that meat fuels the body better than any other protein source, that vegetarians are missing key nutrients in their diets, and that animal proteins have not shown to cause diseases in any way. These all support my claim that a vegetarian diet is less healthy for the body than a diet that contains meats. Thank you.
All right, the proposition's very clear. I think there's plenty of controversy on it. You lay out the secondary structure in a way that's easy for everybody to follow. When you get to the body of the speech, the signposting is pretty good. There are a couple of places where you spend a lot of time explaining assumptions, for instance, describing all the amino acids or the difference in fats versus meats as the source of the problem in the third point. Sometimes, though, all we get is an explanation of the assumption, and I don't think we always get the follow-up information that shows that meat gives us, for instance, the combination of proteins that you can't get from vegetables. That was, there's a whole criticism about how vegetables have to be combined in a particular way, and then there was this claim that said they are hard to digest. And I heard the claim. I didn't hear any evidence on that particular point. I was kind of interested on the third point when you mentioned that they're talking about the fat content rather than other meats that don't have that high fat content. And then there was some comment that says people just think that because meats have a higher fat content than other foods. And so the first question that popped in my mind is, so what is the fat content in other foods? And I couldn't, off the top of my head, I couldn't think of any information that would make it comparable or easy. So I think you also probably need a little bit of an argument there that talks about why some fats would probably be necessary to the diet, but I think you have a good explanation of what your argument is. So a good introduction to the concepts that you've got here. I thought that you cited some interesting testimony evidence to support your position based on the studies that you're mentioning, that one from, was it Australia, that linked it to asthma, cancer, and mental illness. That sounded pretty gamey. And then the Harvard kind of aggregate study that denies the link, which is basically an attempt to respond to the major reservation that people who advocate vegetarian lifestyles would probably have. I thought that was a wise way to go on that. So I think the generalizations are very well developed, but there's still bits and pieces of information missing. The presentation, I think, is usually very effective. Once in a while, there's a little bit of a hesitation or stop where you get maybe on the wrong card or something along those lines. But I thought it flowed smoothly. You usually tried to look at the audience. There was more reading than I would have preferred, but you also had a lot of information in the speech, which kind of accounts for why there's reading sometimes. All right, thank you.